Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Book and Bean podcast. My name is Majesta Dawn, author of Supernatural Supermom, being released on June 10th. And today we have with us Nicki Williams, who's the author of The Celestial. That's a hard word for me to say, Nicki, so I'm going to apologize as I butcher Celestial. I know the word, I just can't say it. Guardian series. And book number 1 is Release, and it has already been released. It's out there for people to read and enjoy. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. I am going to start by calling myself out. I am a terrible human being. Nicki and I were supposed to meet last night, and I completely forgot to update my calendar. So Nicki messages me, and I'm like out shopping, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I forgot you. So thank you so much for being flexible. I apologize.
Not a problem. Life happens. I am here. It's fine. I'm okay.
Awesome. I really appreciate you. And of course, since it is the Book and Bean podcast, we got to talk about what we're drinking. I'm boring coffee today, but I've got my Halloween mug. It's seen better days. It's got some chips in it, but Halloween makes me happy year round.
Halloween is like one of the funnest days of the year because you can literally be whatever and no one judges you. So I get it. It's fine. I'm drinking coffee, and that's about it. I didn't put anything fun in it. No vodka.
I know, right? I'm like, we need to start recording these at nighttime so we can have more fun.
I was gonna have wine. Had we done it last night, I had a whole thing. I was like, it's going down.
It's going down. Man, you guys, you could have had a really interesting episode if we would have been drinking wine last night and chatting. Awesome. Well, speaking of Halloween, I know you said in your author bio, you say you love all things weird fantasy. I think that's why I love Halloween too, right? You can be whatever you want to be, dress up and nobody looks at you, nobody judges you. We're actually, myself and my kiddos, I'm taking them to Hallow Spring today. This is the first time they've ever had this. It's about an hour away from us. Costume contest, trick-or-treating, the whole shebang in the middle of May. I'm like, this is excellent.
This is awesome. I would totally do that.
I know, right? I mean, it's so fun I don't know. To me, I like Halloween better than like Christmas is all about stress and making it to all the different families' house. Halloween is just like, let's have fun.
Yeah, let's just walk around outside in crazy costumes. It's great. It's good time.
Yes. So what we're all here to talk about, obviously today, what we want to hear is we want to hear your journey to creating your book Release. And obviously we know there's going to be more books in the series because it's book 1, yes. Right? So what made you, have you always loved writing like when you were a kid, or is this something that you're an adult and all of a sudden this idea pops into your head and you're like, I'm just going to get this out on paper?
To be honest, I always wrote as a child, but it was more poetry. As I got older and started watching a lot of anime, I started realizing that I have control issues and I didn't like how the anime was ending. So I started reading fan fiction. And then I didn't like how those were ending either. So then I started writing fan fiction.
I love it.
And then along the way, I was like, no, I'm gonna make my own characters, my own world. I'm over it. And that's just, it kind of happened that way.
That's amazing. And I think there's a lot of authors I've been talking to. I think we've come from the same thing. Like what's out there right now is not what I want to read. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to create it and put it out there. That's my book. I was like, I love romance books. I read them all the time. I love fantasy books, but what happens once you've already got married and now you have a family? Like what happens to these characters then? So right. That's kind of why I decided to create that world, Supernatural Supermom. And I love that you're like, you know what? These things aren't ending right. I'm gonna do it myself. Right?
It's a whole thing. It's like a whole anxiety for me. Like I get close to the end of a series and I'll just stop because I just know it's not going to be how I want it to be. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm done. I read enough. I saw enough. It's fine.
One that crushed me was the Sookie Stackhouse series. I loved that. I've read it before True Blood was even the TV show, right? Like I was reading the Sookie Stackhouse series and it became a TV show. I watched all of it, but the way the books ended, man, it devastated me.
Yes, I was like, what is this? Ethan.
I know. It was just such a
I'm not and I love so many different authors and so many different TV shows and animes and all that stuff. I love them and I'm not down in it at all, but it's like in my mind, it's like, this character would be better with this character, and it'd be better if this swapped and that ended that way. And
Yes. And sometimes I think, because I know sometimes I think they do it to us on purpose, because hey, it makes us talk about it. It makes us love these books, even if it doesn't end the way we want it to. Actually, some of the books that don't go the way I want them to are the ones that I'm most passionate about, because you form this attachment, and then that twist and that stab, it's like,
oh my gosh, it's like a
but then you never
physical
forget
blow.
them.
Yeah, right, exactly. The book, if it makes me cry, I'm never going to forget it.
Yes.
If it tears my heart out, I am never going to forget it. I may not ever. That's a lie. I'm going to read it again. I'm a masochist. I'm going to read it again.
Exactly. Like, why do I do this to myself and I can't stop? Now, here's a question. When we read release, is it going to make us cry?
Honestly, that is what I hope. When I was writing this book and I was coming up with this storyline, like I've already got stuff in my head for the next bit of the series that I'm like, okay, I want you people to love these characters so much. And I want y'all to go on this emotional roller coaster with them. And if I make you cry, if I make you so mad that you're like, I kind of want to burn this book, but I really need to end it, then I've done my job.
Yes, I love it. Now, did you cry when you were writing it? Did any of the parts get to, like, did the characters take spins that you didn't even anticipate, but you had to write it and it had you bawling?
There was a moment, and I think it was because I was going through something in my life that moment in the book and that moment in my life, they sort of meshed, and I was sitting there writing it and I was like, it's fine. I know I need to do this, but I'm gonna make her do this because it's easier. Yes.
Yes, it's so true. Like, this sounds terrible. I don't know if it makes me sound like a vindictive person, but that's one of the reasons I started writing my book, was the time of my life. Like, my mom had just passed and I had a baby. My mom passed like a month and a half after my baby was born. So I'm going through all this stuff. My older kids are in school, and some of those bitchy PTO moms, I'm just like, the nerve. I know you got to know who I'm to, like those type of people, right? So my book, she could just put a quick little curse on them and problem solved, right? Wait a minute. Like, watch out, evil neighbors that live next door. You may be in book 2.
Right, there you go. And I think that's what I like about being an author so much and being a writer, is because you can give yourself so much power. You might not be in this world, but you still have power. So yeah, if someone really, really irritates you, put them in the book, slap them around a little bit. It's fine. It's okay. It's a character. They'll never know.
Exactly. And then, but I love how you said you were going through something in your personal life and you knew what you needed to do, but it's easier to make your character do it. Sometimes we can live out those decisions we need to make, those tough life choices, like through our characters. See how it goes for them. Test the waters before we do it in real life, right?
Right. Like, okay, did I make him cry too? Okay, is that what's going to happen? Okay.
This is great.
Okay, not a big deal.
Awesome. So one of the things that I because I love all things witchy, Halloween, obviously I love astrology, and I noticed like the zodiac and things like that have a strong theme in your books. Tell me how you brought all that into your characters and into the book release.
So I did a whole lot of research. I didn't know that I knew as many people who were as diverse in the zodiac astrology realm, I guess, as I did. I realized really soon that I knew a lot of people who were every single sign. I was like, I didn't even know I knew 12 people. How did that happen? And so I did a lot of research. I figured out, where they came from, as far as, what made the Greeks decide to name that constellation Aries and this one Leo and whatever, where it came from. And I brought those into the character names. I brought it, like, those different aspects into the character names, into their magical powers. For instance, the only people who have elemental powers in my series are the celestials. They're the zodiacs. The only way that you can have fire, water, whatever, is if you come from the house of Aries, house of Taurus, house of Scorpio, all of that stuff. If they don't have that elemental magic, then they're just one of the regular fae, I guess, or like a witch or something. So that played a big part as far as just the different elements that represent each sign. And the actions that the characters take, their attitudes, things like that. I really had to study up, and I watched a lot of my friends and a lot of the people I know, and I'm like, someone pissed you off, what would you do? What would be the first thing you do? What would you say if you said anything? And I would take that and I would write it down and be like, okay, so I know when I piss this character off, this is how I need to make them act. My whole hope is that when people read my series, that they say, yeah, I would have done that. I would have done it like that.
Okay, well, I'm excited because I'm an Aries, so I want to see how the Aries in this book, how they act.
Are the main character, actually.
Main character energy. Here we go. I love it. I've got to know, what's your sign?
I'm a Capricorn.
Nice. And you chose to make an Aries the main character, not a Capricorn.
Well, have you ever known a Capricorn? Like, real life? Like, we're just chill. Like, we don't mess with our money, don't mess with the people that we care about, and we're fine. Like, we're earth signs, we're real grounded. Aries 1 was the first constellation in the zodiac for the Greeks, very first one that they made. So I was like, okay, they're the first, they should be the main. My moon sign is an Aries and my dad's an Aries. So I had a lot of Aries energy to pull from. So it wasn't that hard to write about or from that perspective.
Nice. That makes sense. Because I think I just assumed that maybe I know the heir to the house of Aries, right? Your main character. So I'm thinking, I bet you're an Aries. So that's really interesting. You're a Capricorn. I don't know any Capricorns. I need more Capricorns in my life if they're that chill and grounded, for sure, because this Aries thing is crazy.
We're pretty cool. Like, we just sit there like, oh, okay. Y'all see this? Okay.
Everything's good. So now I know you sent me your blurb, and we will put your blurb up on the description of the podcast for everybody to check out. But one of the things that I like to ask authors to do is, in your own words, kind of right now, if you had to describe your book, kind of give us the off the cuff blurb. And I know it's so hard. That's one of the things I hate to do the most. I can sit down and write 72,000 words, but then you ask me to just sum it up, and it's tough. But
right, because you don't know what you want to, like, okay, if I say this, it's going to give it away. So roughly, the book release is about this girl named Talia. She has lived in the celestial realm. There are 3 realms. You got the celestial realm of Airline. You've got Valhalla, which is where all the humans and lesser fae live. And then you've got Nauteros, which is demons. And she grows up in Airline, completely sheltered. One day on her 18th birthday, her family's like, hey, our house is being attacked and it's your fault. Go through this ritual. And she's like, what? They put her through the ritual and then they cast her out. And when they cast her out, she knows nothing about what's going on. She's cast to Valhalla. She doesn't know anything about Valhalla. She's just lost. She meets a guy named Richter. He is a shifter. He's the alpha to the Black Fang pack. And he's like, hey, you have elemental powers that you don't know what to do with. That's weird. But you shouldn't be here. You're celestial. Obviously, you have these powers. Let me help you. Let's figure out why you're here. What's going on? So he starts helping her out. In the midst of all of this, she realizes that there's a war coming. Basically, the humans are like, we don't like the Fae. Y'all had your thumb on us for 500 years. We're tired of it. We're gonna stand up against you. And all the Fae are like, whoa, we're just chilling. What's wrong? So she kind of gets pulled into this whole situation where people are like, hey, you're a celestial, help us. You're supposed to help us. You're powerful, you're strong, help us. And she's like, I don't even know who I am. I don't even know what's going on. Like, how am I supposed to help you when I can't help myself? So this whole book is really just her trying to find herself, trying to figure out, okay, do I want to be this person that everybody wants me to be, that they're telling me I have to be? Or can I live for myself and just help as I see fit?
I love it. So big themes of self-discovery, trying to really figure out who she wants to be. I mean, like coming of age type thing. Like, I love it. I love it. Now, I do want to ask, when I was reading your author bio, I love that you shared some stuff about yourself that was really personal. And I want to ask how it's influenced your writing. You know, you said that people have always looked at you weird for one reason or another, right? Which weirdos are my favorite types of people. I love it. Like weirdos unite, because I'm right there. But you said from being born biracial in the South, just loving all things weird, like loving anime, getting into all that. And then also growing up to marry a woman, you've always got strange looks, right? How have those things impacted your writing, the decisions you chose to make with your characters, and the storyline?
Heavily. It all impacted me heavily because growing up biracial in the South, and I've heard it from so many other people who are biracial, including my younger cousins who still deal with a lot of stuff that I dealt with, back when I was a kid. They still deal with it today, as far as neither side really accepts you. You're always getting pushed to choose a side, even though, again, they don't accept you. So you always have these friends and these people who they're friends with you, but they're almost friends with you because you're not like them, kind of a trophy friend.
Yes.
And so you never really know who you are. You never really know, okay, do I fit in here? Can I fit in here? What can I do? And so you're constantly in this battle of finding yourself. So that's, Talia. And then I never really liked guys. I tried to make myself like guys.
I love it. The way you just laugh.
I tried really hard for the better part of my life. I tried really, really hard. And then after a long time, I was like, you know what? Like, I saw my wife, she walked into the room and like her aura was just like, whoa. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. Makes sense now. And I've been the happiest I could ever be. And so it's really important to me for people to just live their truth and live who they want to be, regardless of what anyone else says. So that's a big thing in the book. And then on top of that, I try to make my characters as diverse as possible. There's a lot of like, yeah, you've got, the porcelain skin tones, and you've got the sun-kissed skin tones, and you've got the darker skin tones that have really cool hair, and like you've got all of that. So I try to make it as diverse as possible, whether it's, race-wise, whether it's sexuality-wise. I have a gender fluid character in there, which is like one of my favorite characters to write for. Readers will figure out who they are later. But like they gave me some power when I was writing. I was like, yeah.
Love this energy, right? Yes.
But it's a lot. A lot. My growing up had a lot to do with how these characters act and respond to things.
And just even listening to you talk about your experiences and not knowing like, where do I fit in? Which, I mean, that is what Talia's doing. That's that self-discovery. And you mentioned that Talia has the decision to make. Do I do what these people are telling me to do and live my life the way they say I need to, or do I do what makes me happy? And it sounds like that's what, even like you said, you tried to like guys, right? That's when you said that, that's what it made me think of, like, do what makes you happy. I love it. And I think it's so, as a cis woman in West Virginia, so still that Southern mindset, there's not a lot of diversity. And it's something that as I grew up and became an adult and started to see everything that's going on in our world and the struggles that people have, it infuriates me. It infuriates me, but it's always something I'm afraid to talk about because it's not my experience. So I'd be quiet or maybe fire off a hateful Facebook comment when someone says something stupid. But, I realized one of my favorite podcasts to listen to, they brought up that people say a lot of times, oh, I don't see color. And they think that that's a good thing to say. I don't see color, right? But I realized that that's not an okay way to be, because you have to see color. You have to recognize people's diversity. And that's a good thing, to be able to support people. And and we need more diversity as far as LGBTQ plus books. Like my oldest, she's 13. Well, she's about to turn 13. To get this kid to read is like pulling teeth. And I'm like, your mommy is an author. You're supposed to read up books and that's what you're supposed to love to do. She's like, no. But she discovered the Heartstopper series. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're graphic novels for teenagers, but it's the main characters are two boys who, one is out, he's gay, like everybody in the school knows. The other is very much not, like an athlete, and they fall in love and they're journeying together. And I'm like, that we need characters that are relatable to these kids so they can like see like, hey, I'm not alone.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was my ultimate goal. Was I wanted people of, it's YA. This particular book is YA. I had to cut out a lot of stuff because my editor was like, are you sure this is YA? Because it doesn't. I was like, oh, that's not supposed to be there. My bad. So I had to cut out a lot of stuff, but this one is YA. Much like several other series, it'll probably end up being more NA the further it goes. But I tried really hard to make sure that somewhere, somehow, I represented as many people as I could, whether it's a main character or not. Like if there's several of the Celestials or several of the people in general that are gay or are bi, or there's just so much going on, and I tried to make sure that I just mushed it all in there. Like, hey, I have a place for you. You're right here. I have a place for you. You're right here.
Yes, and we need that in YA books specifically too, because I feel like, there's adult books out there that, and like I'm thinking of, I don't know if you've ever read the Anita Blake series by Laurel K. Hamilton. But it's definitely adult. Okay.
I wonder, is that the one where she's a succubus?
No, she evolves into one, but she's a necromancer.
Okay.
And she starts out as her character starts very virginal, dates guy, right? That kind of, as the series evolves on like book 28 or now, she's exploring polyamory and different relationship things.
I listened to one of those audiobooks and I was like, ooh, Lord. Okay.
Which is like normalizing it more. And then I found out that she actually is polyamorous in real life, which I'm like, this is, of course, we all bring our real lives into our books, but there's not as many things for young adults, for those teen and preteen years. That's the toughest time when you're discovering yourself. And I think it's important to have that, hey, there's billions of different people in the world. We're all unique and we're all special in our own ways, right?
Yeah.
So, Nicki, tell me, I know you've mentioned your wife and her aura being amazing. What does your wife think about your book? Is she supportive of you writing? Like, does she read your books, or is she like,
we got together right as I was finishing up the book. So I read it to her. That way she could tell me how she felt. Because when I tell you, she will walk into a room and talk to somebody for 10 minutes and be like, you're a Scorpio, and be dead on every time. And I'm like, you're probably a witch, because I don't, how do you do that? But so she has been along the way with me throughout the whole journey. She tells me, hey, this works, this doesn't work. She's very, very supportive and very, very blunt. She is a Leo. So the whole time she's like, so you're going to make Leo awesome, right? Because we are.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, babe, Leo's going to be awesome. Like, he'll be in the next book. So, I mean, he's going to be tall. I mean, he's going to be tall, right? And he's going to be slanging. And I'm like, babe, calm down.
It's so funny because my husband's a Leo too.
So you know the struggle.
I do.
Like, oh my God. Like, they walk past the mirror and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Did you need me? No, it's fine.
Too funny. That's awesome that she's been supportive and like read your book and was there with you through the whole process. It's kind of neat that you guys met right when you started writing it. So when you were just finishing it up, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
And it's crazy because the way that things end up playing out in the book, I can't really go into like crazy detail, but the way that things end up playing out in the series is literally how things ended up playing out in my book or in my life. And I'm like, I didn't mean to write the future. Did I have this part along?
I know exactly what you mean, because those kind of things have happened. Like, it's like, to anybody out there who's wanting to manifest, just write a book, right?
Write a book. It will happen.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. The same thing happened for me too, with a few little parts, like you said, can't give it away, but where can people, well, first of all, tell me about your plans for book 2. Have you started writing it?
So I've started writing it. I have it's outlined. I know it's going to happen. The whole series is outlined. I know what's going to happen. I've started writing it. I've gotten a few chapters out, but then I was driving home one day. I was running dialogue in my head because that's what I do. And a whole nother story just jumped in my head accidentally.
Oop. Yeah. No, you just hate it when that happens. You're like, now I got to do this.
Right. And I was like, okay, let me sit you to the back. I got to work on this. And the other story was like, or
Yes.
you could do this real quick. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So then I started writing that one.
I
So
love it.
now I'm juggling back and forth. So I am working on it. I'm just also working on this one.
Now, is this other book, is it going to be YA too, or is it going to be more adult?
No, this other one is definitely going to be adult. It will be a standalone. It's still going to be fantasy because I can't help
Yes.
it. But yeah, it'll definitely be more adult. Yeah.
Awesome. So we have multiple things to look forward to coming from. Well, I can't wait to see. Now, where can people find Release? I'm going to put all the links up to this podcast so they can get this book. But tell us, where's the best place to follow you to stay up to date so we know when book 2 comes out?
So best places to follow me are obviously they're going to be the normal social media. So I've got a Facebook page, I've got Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. I've got a author website, which I update regularly as updates come. And then I actually have a book trailer, which I can send you the link to that too. I was really excited about it. I have a book trailer on YouTube, and you can get my book on Amazon. I do normally have some books on hand. I sold out of all of them recently, so I had to buy some more. But Amazon and Kindle are going to be your best places right now.
Yep, that's amazing. I'm so excited. Definitely send me all your links, especially for the book trailer, because I want to put it up there. Shout out to Book Talk on TikTok. That's how we met.
Yes.
So definitely go follow Nicki Williams on TikTok. I was stalking your page last night. I admitted that to you right before we started recording. Lots of great fun content. Love it. But yes, everybody, please go buy Release, book number 1 in the Celestial Guardian series. And thank you, Nicki, so much for taking the time to meet with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And everybody, keep reading.